right into our very first panel discussion for the day. The panel will be discussing breaking barriers, adopting global standards in local markets. They're going to be talking about how we're going to be bridging the gap between international standards and local realities, how it's key to sustainable growth in hospitality. This session unpacks the challenges of localization, cultural alignment, and resource adaptation, how to gain insight from experts who have successfully implemented global best practices in diverse markets without compromising authenticity or service quality. And these experts we're going to be gaining insights on include Mr. Ahmed Raza, who is the District Director, Nigeria, Radisson Hotel Group, with over 18 years in the industry and has had leadership roles in companies like IHG, Marriott, Accor, Hilton, etc. Please, with a resounding round of applause, let's welcome Ahmed Raza on stage, please. Thank you. We also have Mr. Jorge Erazo, who is the GM, Lake Greenfield Hotel and Towers, welcome, Abuja. He has over 20 years in the industry and has qualifications in management, sales, and marketing. Mr. Jorge, please. Thank you. Please clap for them as they come up. Please clap for our panelists as they come up. We also have Mr. Samuel Itodo, Group General Manager, 2020 Hotels and Apartments, Abuja, Nigeria. He's a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Public Admin and Governance. Mr. Samuel, please. Please clap for our panelists. Clap for our panelists. Ushers, it's looking like we're going to need one more seat up here. There's one behind there. If you could quickly please put it up, as we have 5 panelists for this session. We also have Ms. Jemimah Odonkor, who is the CEO, Signature Hospitality and Business Services, and also Guest Care Essentials, with over 20 years plus across international agencies and a certified event and project manager. Ms. Jemimah Odonkor, thank you, she's coming up. And to moderate this very powerful panel is none other than the first professor of tourism and hospitality in Nigeria, who is currently with Atiba University and so many other universities and institutions. Please let's welcome Professor Wasiu Babalola. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Africa. Good afternoon, Lagos, Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, esteemed panelists, and valued participants. It's our pleasure and privilege that we are here as I welcome you all to this vital conversation on breaking barriers, adopting global standards in local markets. At the heart of hospitality is a commitment to consistent excellence, no matter where we are in the world. Yet, applying these global hospitality standards in local African contexts remain both a challenge and an opportunity. As African hospitality and sector continue to expand, our local markets, which we understand, must position themselves competitively, not just through aesthetics, but also through system, service culture, sustainability, and smart operations. Great travelers expect consistency, while our environment requires adaptability. These are many questions are what we shall be looking at. I am happy that I have one of the most robust panel that you'll be enjoying in day one. Wonderful people with experiences, and we try to also blend it with our local content. So, ladies and gentlemen, let the conversation begin. So I'll be starting the conversation with a man who is representing a brand that has successfully brought international standards into complex and diverse African markets. His experience in balancing the brand's global benchmark with Nigerians and Africa's unique operational environment, it's something of immense value to every one of us. So I'll be starting my question, he knows himself, with Raza. No, I'm starting with Ahmed Raza anyway. The District Director for Nigeria of Radisson. And we want to talk about standardization and localization because it's very important. And I want to ask, how does your brand manage the tension between maintaining its global brand promises and adapting it to the operational reality in Africa? Particularly, you can pick any cities in Africa as a case study. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, my heartiest congratulations to the team of Hotel Managers Conference. This thing is growing year on year, like our room nights. And I wish you all the best. And I think you have done a fabulous job. Please, a huge round of applause for Mr. Sunday. I'm really proud that we are associated with you on this. Coming to your question, I think the Radisson Hotel Group has a strong commitment when it comes to protecting our global brand standards and guest quality, the operational excellence systems, and safety and security are non-negotiable for us. So I think where the challenge comes is how to maintain a fine balance on how do we maintain this balance between standardization and localization. So I think that's simple. Whenever you walk into any of our Radisson hotels, you will see a local design element that is always incorporated in these hotels, which is really important because, we don't want to give it a vibe that you are just sitting in any hotel in the world. It has to have that local flavor blended into it. Secondly, I feel that, we have a lot of opportunities as far as the indigenous ingredients are concerned to incorporate into our menus. Also the fact that we have a lot of other associations in terms of localizing, production. We also, partnering with a lot of local communities in order to make sure that that element comes into the, into the system. And yes, any guest who is at any of our hotels, although he will experience the uniformity in our brand standards, he will also get a local flavor of what the local culture has to offer.
Yeah, thank you so much. The next question will be for our Group General Manager, 2020 Hotel Samuel Itodo. And like the brands which we just listened to, like Ahmed said, they don't toy with the standard. All they have to do is to ensure they infuse some local content into it. Now, this question is for you, local innovation with global relevance. As a locally managed and owned brand, how has 2020 hotels approach adopting international best practices while remaining locally authentic and cost-effective?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. We have, a fine line, between the international and then as well the local. But, for us in the hospitality industry, it's, retention. Aspect of retention, it's something, that I think I'm very happy, that a lot of us here would share as a common areas or aspects, to discuss. But going back to your question, on our own side, for Hotel 2020 and Apartments Group, we discovered that, there's something that is eminent, across all our local brand chains. It's either maybe, as a business driver, manager, you are taking over a property that is obviously maybe obsolete, had never had, a design, to be able, to project the aspect of hotel or apartment. So those are major challenges. However, on our own side, we started dealing, on such areas with business resource plannings. And then, started getting, especially, for renovations. Renovations is very expensive. And the amount of depreciation value that our hotels and apartments go through on a day-to-day, on a month-to-year, believe me, it's incremental. And that actually, dives deep into the revenue. So on our own side, what we do is, everything that has to do with, like an example, the renovation, we started, working, on cost of sales ratios, and then started allocating, budgets, to be able, to start having, pre-planned arrangements for amenities and all of that, just to be able, to stay in check, because of inflations and everything, that comes in. And then on the other side, I'm happy, that, the company that I work for, we're into construction. So what I do is this. On the aspects of, the business, outsourcing, we outsource, our infrastructures and everything that has to do with, facility management directly to the company. So we are, in turn, getting, the high-end, result as compared to, we hire a team member in facility management today. He's on the payroll, and at the end of the day, will not be able, to, get the AHUs fixed properly or ACs fixed properly and all of that. So we get a company, and those companies, are taxed in dealing with those. That is how we've been able, to manage the aspects of our infrastructures or anything, to keep ourselves, ahead of the brand. I mean, like in competitive with the brand. Then, the aspects of, the customer retention as well. As you've just rightly mentioned, culinary is a challenge because, I can wake up this morning and I'll feel like I want to eat eba. But, from the international side, for example, they would want to have, something else, maybe continental meals. So having, to balance that infusion is quite, a challenge. But, for our own side, what we do is this: we use a lot of menu engineering. That menu engineering, keeps, both out at the end of the day, be it, whether you're international or you're local, you have something amongst your culinary, for you, to feast in. These are some of the basics, that, we're doing as our own brand, and then to be able to be there to upscale.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. I want us to take note of some of those silent issues he raised. For you to be able to compete as a local brand and to offer international standards, it had to start, you have to be intentional, it has to be from your planning. And that's why it's talking about costs. Because if you get it wrong, your depreciation keeps increasing, and you don't have funds to compete at all. Maintaining standard on its own is cost, but it's going to save you cost on the longer run. So we need, you see, I can tell you it's more of an accountant, and you can see the way they are throwing the figures around to get standard. Thank you, Mr. Samuel, for that, letting us know that as brand owners, it goes beyond having technical knowledge. You also need to move into the strategic aspect, which we'll be looking at tomorrow on day 2. The next question is for Jemimah. Jemimah? Is it? Okay, Jemimah. I know you've worked with brands before now, and you are a CEO of your own company, which means you've seen from both worlds. So I want to ask, from both worlds that you've been to, have you observed any shortfall in service standards? And what are the current practices you think the local establishment or the international establishment need to imbibe to be able to manage this gap, if there is any gap at all?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I have worked with both local brands and I've worked with international brands. I've worked in Ghana, I've worked in Nigeria, and I've worked in Norway. And it's quite interesting how the cultures of these countries are, but there's something common when it comes to hospitality, and that is service. However, yes, there are gaps in these areas when you go from region to region. But one thing that should stand clear is the moment you enter into the world of hospitality, there's one common language, service. It should be a standard. Irrelevant of where the person is receiving the service, it should be a standard to experience. Working as a leader in a non-branded hotel, my main focus was to ensure that I bring my team in line with the international expectation of service. And then working as a leader, because I was the GM for Marriott in Protea Marriott in Owerri, working as a GM over there, we have outlined standards that are brand expectation. But sitting in this room is beyond brand, and it's beyond regions, and it's beyond personalization. It's about hospitality, and it's very, very important that from ownership to management, we understand that it should be a sweet flow of service. So irrelevant of whether you're a brand or not, there are key things that should be very essential. Training your team, and then they meeting the expectation of the traveler or your guest, irrelevant of the region you are serving your people. But however, in our local context, people lack in service because they see it more as a favor than a service that you are paying for. And that is where I come in and decided to create my own company when I decided to work for myself, is empowering and enforcing people to understand that service is a skill set that should start from the mind, whether you are a brand or a non-branded hotel. And it's very important that we as leaders train our team to understand this. Even from your body language, your attitude, it all tells about the kind of service that you are offering. It's very beautiful to walk into a small hotel that is non-branded and you feel the presence of hospitality. You would always go back there. But sometimes also in our big spaces, that is big brands, we lose focus and lose service because our brand has already created a name and you have the brand to ride on, but then we lose the key essence of service. So it's key that leaders train people daily on understanding the need of service. People are paying premium prices for their stay. Whether it's local or international, the service should be a swift, and it shouldn't be different. And we should take our cultural attitude out of our work spaces. I think that is very, very important because in hospitality, culture plays a key role, but service is prominent. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And to support what she has said, if you are from the south of Nigeria here, you will understand this, that when you walk into the hotel and you are a female, and the person at the back end is a male, the culture says the female will greet. And it's been done in such a way that if it's a male and a female come, they say, "Good morning, sir," so that the lady will know, "I'm not greeting you, you have to greet first." And she had just said, we can only correct that because we understand that is who we are. We can't take that away. You have to train, and train. Thank you so much for that. I want to go to Jorge Erazo briefly. I look into this all, and I realize what I want to say, I'm sure Carl will agree with me, Tunde Oluloye will agree with me, Belinda is not here, Belinda just walked in, that in having a brand, having the international brand to function, there is the brand has a DNA, which form part of, which is the core of the training you are going to get, and there is a system supporting the people behind, because we understand the system forms the backbone to ensure there is control. Now, and that is where I'm coming to you. I check your profile, you've worked with brands, you've worked around the world, and here you are in Nigeria managing an indigenous brand. Now, just like Dr. Belinda said this morning, even we Nigerians, we agree the best bet is you have to bring the foreigner if you want results, which is normal anyway. I have families in Nigeria, so I'll be distracted. So how do you balance that, considering the fact that most construction in Nigeria, the man who has the money decides what to be constructed. It is when he gets stuck, he looks for a magician to come and manage him out of that crisis. So how do you manage this and you're able to achieve results with the hotel you are running in Abuja, which is not part of the international brand? So how do you manage this to ensure there is, you are able to integrate your global management perspective and ensure it works here in Nigeria particularly?
Okay, thank you very much for the question, and good afternoon to everybody. It's a great pleasure to be present. It's an honor. And to your question, yes, it is a challenge. It's a challenge because there's different differences, cultural differences, infrastructural challenges. It's all sort of challenges. But it is not impossible. I've been in Nigeria for 13 years, off and on. And I've also worked in other countries in Africa. It is, I think it's very important, and you rightly say sometimes they think they're hiring a magician, and the GM is not a magician. It depends on the team that you have, first of all. You have to have the right team that can support you, with the owners as well, and communication is paramount. Because gradually, with you do the right approach, you can tackle down gradually some of those challenges. So it's a process. It's never easy, but it's achievable. You know, with work, exactly, with the team being on the same page, with the right awareness of the importance of the policies, right, and also to the clients. So that's what has worked for me.
Thank you so much. So in every situation, he has seen the positive side, and he has to put his skill in ensuring he looks into the positivities in the market which he operates. So for my panelists, I want to seek your indulgence. I'm going to go just one more questions, which I'll appreciate if you can give us your responses in 2 minutes each, so that we can take 2 questions from the floor. Then we have our final word. So I think I started with Ahmed Raza, but well, unfortunately, I'm going to start this with you. Everybody understands the role of technology which it plays in management of hotel, in ensuring standard maintenance, the control of that standard. Do you think Africa has the local talent to meet the requirement, the technological need in ensuring we can balance the service standard between in both international brands and the local brands that we're trying to develop in Africa?
All right, I think one of our core beliefs is that we develop talent and the talent develops us. And I believe that, Africa has an abundance of talent. How do we manage that process is the fact that over the years we have been sending local resources globally to every part of the world to gain, valuable training in information technology and all facets of hospitality. This year, we have realized that because of the fact that we're going to grow to 10 hotels in Nigeria only by 2027, we will need a lot of talent management to be done. And this is why we have now got the Radisson Academy in Nigeria for the first time this year. And this is where we started the process in April, where we trained almost more than 600 staff in Nigeria. And all these, trainers were from Brussels and Dubai who came over here. So we are, kind of developing talent in that way. And again, to just answer your question on how ready the talent is, let me proudly say that we have not been only developing talent locally, but we have been importing talent internationally also. As I speak, most of our front office managers, revenue managers, security managers have been imported to different parts of the world, like Saudi Arabia, UAE, and London. So we can see the impact of the talent, and that speaks highly of what's in store. So these are exciting times, and I feel that moving forward, when you speak about talent, I think talent is there's a huge potential, and we are making all our efforts possible to tap that talent.
Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for that. I want to quickly go to Jemimah. I'm sure you've been involved in training for staffs, and like you said, we have to keep training in ensuring our local content can at least offer the kind of service and maintain those services. So can you just give us an idea, what training model do you think the unbranded hotels can adopt to make them at least reduce the gap to the BRS minimum when it comes to the service gap that we have between those two business areas?
Thank you very much. So for me, using years of experience in operations, I realize that people get distracted when they have long training sessions. And for our setups especially, I think using short focus training is very, very important. And there should be a lot of role plays in the training sections. We should also build the context of the training to suit the local understanding of most people. If you notice, in our sector, most of the operational team are not too educated. The level of education is minimized. So I would also encourage that when we are doing or putting together a training section for our team members, we should have that at the back of our mind. Because sometimes you are training the housekeeping team, and then you don't have highly educated people who may not understand even what you are talking about, but you are following a laid down procedure or training principle, which they don't really understand. It's important to come down to their level and be more practical in what you are telling them. It makes it more understandable for them to be able to put into practice what you are teaching them. But if you are just using standard or normal training procedures, you may not achieve your aim. So you should look at your training recipients and then model your training to suit those that you are training. It's very, very effective. And aside that, do role sections and put them also into practical sections where, for instance, you've trained the front office on a particular subject line or service area. You should be there during their work to see how they are actually practicing this that you have trained them.
Thank you so much. I quickly move on to Mr. Samuel. You run 2020 hotels. And like we said, every international brand has a standard operating procedures. And apart from this SOP that form the basis of their training, they also have what we call global benchmarking. But the local brands, to be sincere to them, they don't try to say we want to do global benchmarking anyway. But I'm sure we are very conversant with KPIs, key performance indicators. So this is a direct question. I checked your website, even on social media, you tell you're having good reviews for your properties. Now, it's a direct question. Which one do you have? Global benchmarking or KPI? And how have you been able to adapt it to your operations?
When you use global KPI, a global benchmark, it's something we should strive to, because hospitality business should be seamless. and you should be borderless. However, we are using, the KPIs at the moment, using market segmentations, and then, other, our charts, to deal with it. However, I think, the panelists have already underscored the major issues, which has to do with, training and breaking these trainings down to in such a way that, our team members, can understand. And like for me, I would like to, just, share an insight. I started up, from the Nikon Nagar and then to the Transcorp Hilton. My mentor, she's presently here, Dr. Ebi, and I grew up through the ladder. How did I achieve that? It was internal cross-exposures across the entire whole team. And that is what, I have started encouraging, my team members to do. Most times, when we close, like 7 o'clock a.m. to 3 p.m., and then everybody is going, home, we have at the Hilton then, under the...
Hello, please proceed.
All right.
It's a technical
Okay.
issue, don't worry.
We had under the Hilton University, scheme of work, and I'm happy, Radisson is, taking a lead as well in the training, and then the hotel school that is coming up. I think we have a cohort.
It's an academy, yes,
Academy,
Radisson
yes,
Academy.
okay, academy, and so on. So this is how I grew, because, when others are going home, I am there at the laundry, folding sheets. Then I am, I'm getting experience on how, our kitchen maintenance work. I am at the kitchen, for example, the main restaurant, dealing with something with mise en place. Because if you want to really grow up the ladder in this industry, you really need, to have a bits and pieces of all the entire whole formulation of the ideas of how the business runs. So that is what I am presently encouraging, and then my take from here, from this, conference, is, to encourage my team members to do more of cross-exposures, and I hope that, with the local brands, and as well, the international brands, can give us, a cohort spacing, whereby I can say, my branch managers, in any of the branches, can come down, to Choicings, or, for example, to Radisson, or to Continental here, and do maybe about 3 weeks and all of that, internship, and operational training, because it is hands on deck. With this way, when they come back, the impact will be great. That is what I think, those are my suggestions, by the way.
Okay, so I'm going to just extend the same question to George, and the same question. We have global best practices, we have KPIs. Just give us an example. This is what I am using, and I've used it in this place, it works, but where I am, maybe, did you use the same way, or you are able to adapt? So, George, you can give us 1 or 2 examples. The one you use that you have to say, look, it has to be this way. Yeah. Or this, no, it works here, I have to adapt.
Okay, great, good question. I have just recently adopted something, the Lake Greenfield Hotel, which is the property that I'm working. It's an independent hotel. We also own another hotel in Yola. And we're going to have something also going on in Kaduna. So what specifically to your question is, what I've done is I use some of the standards that we've used in America. I work with Marriott, and the standards are very strict as far as the accessibility for people with disabilities, right? And that's something that it came after the fact that I arrived. Nothing was done, and I've applied some of those expectations or KPIs, let's call it, or global standards, right? We have done even a little bit more than what it was expected, and it's been very successful with already 2 groups belonging to that kind of market. And we have implemented several parking spaces in an underground parking. We have parking spaces also closed that is also only for drop-offs that is assigned for them. We have 5 rooms fully accessible for people with disabilities, and things like that. So that's one of the things that I've done. The other example that I could give you is something that I also carry from my learnings with Marriott again, is what we focus on the strongest asset in a hotel, which is staff. You know, what we have there, we are driven very and focused on how we're doing with the satisfaction not only of our guests, but our internal guests as well. So what we do is called AOS in Marriott. We call it SOAS, which is the Staff Opinion Survey. I always do it in my hotels. So we do train them. We do a lot about training, but we also should go deep and find out exactly what are the expectations and what are we missing and what can we do better, and probably things that we're doing better, because we also want to know what we're doing great. And that's something that I also apply. I also have my own score and benchmark, my own independent one, and gradually I put my targets and KPIs for next year. I just did one. We only have been open for 6 months, and we have done one last month. It has turned out to be very successful, and now the raise is very high from the beginning. That's just another example.
Thank you so much, George. And let me simplify. I love simplifying what people say. I asked George 2 questions. Which KPI you don't change? And you know what? He says, when it comes to construction, the standard, we don't change it. You have to, that's why I said, we have to do this, we have to do that. Standard is standard. But which does it change? The aspect of training. They involve the staff. What we need to get the customer better. We need to serve better. How do we do this? So that means there are some we can learn that are adaptable. There are some that it's a no-go area. It's either you score 1, score 0, or you score 10. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the close of this inside discussion, we promise you that we're going to allow you 2 questions to ask these wonderful panelists. But just like our keynote speaker, Dr. Belinda says, change is constant. Welcome to that change. You may not be able to answer those questions. Thank you. I want to sincerely thank you, our distinguished panelists, Ahmed Raza, Samuel Itodo, Jemimah, and George. You may not understand what is taking these young, enterprising men to sit here. I remembered some few minutes that I sent message to Raza. He said, Prof, I'm on my way, I'll be here. So I know he had to drop so many things to do. Thank you so much, and thank you every one of you for your in-depth experience and clarity of thoughts and the passion for the future of hospitality in Africa and globally. Today, we have unpacked that realities of bridging global standards with local markets, balancing structures with culture, compliances with creativity, and system with soul. We have had our success in this endeavor is not only something we can copy or paste from foreign brands, but also about adapting them meaningfully to our own unique context. So I'm sure we've had our takeaways. I wouldn't want to go into that, but I want to charge every one of us. As we leave this room, maybe after lunch, I encourage you to reflect on your own operations. What barriers can you break? What standard can you elevate? And how can you lead this transformation in your own teams? Let's not only strive to meet global standards, we must shape and define Africa's contributions to them. Imagine if I'm not dressed today as a chief, do you think this thing will not be too boring, all of us putting on tie? I want to say thank you once again. Thank you, our sponsors, and thank you so much. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you so much. May we please have the panelists here for a group photograph with our convener, and also to give you some very special gifts that we have for you. Over here, please. Technical team, please change the screen, please. To anything that is not white, you can put my picture. Just put something. Please bring Prof back.
I want to thank our, please let's put our hands together for our headline sponsor. They made this happen. I'm sure you can see that the conference is resting on the headline sponsor. Once again, put your hands together for our headline sponsor. Thank you.